Hey there, I'm Alex Kidman, and well, this is not my regular home office recording studio, far from it. I'm in a hotel room in Sydney checking out the Samsung S95F OLED TV. And before I start, I do have to make a couple of comments for ethical disclosure reasons. So I'm in this hotel room because Samsung has provided it to me, not just for me. It's a very standard way that they do lots of short scale TV hands-on reviews with a lot of journalists in a very quick space. So I've got a certain shift here. I've basically got a few hours to test out this particular TV, come to some conclusions about it, and then write that up and of course produce this video. So that also introduces another limitation to this video. This is not a full-on review because for a full-on review I'd need some serious time with this TV, and instead I've basically just got a few hours plus a little bit of sleeping time, but I'm not going to be reviewing the TV. While I'm asleep, I have my limitations. So I'd better get to the testing, hadn't I? And of course, an 83-inch panel is a big lad. I mean, it's a big lad by definition. This is a large TV. How large? Well, look, here's me. And that gives you an idea of how big a panel this actually is. This much TV, however, does not come cheap. If you want the 83-inch model shown here, it'll cost you $11,499 Australian at the time of producing this video. The TV market here is competitive, so you probably will see some discounts, but I'm going to suggest they're not going to be huge for a TV this big. Now, Samsung did also give me access to a slightly smaller model. When I say slightly smaller model, it was this 77-inch model, and even that will cost you $9,199 at launch. So we are totally in premium TV mode here. And for that, you'd expect some premium quality. Now, I did have the limitation that I couldn't really compare against other TVs here. I only had so much time. So I'm going to keep this to basic upsides and basic downsides, my basic observations on these TVs to keep it simple. So the big upside here, of course, is picture. OLED's big strength forever has been the extreme levels of contrast available relative to other picture technologies, and that's absolutely true for the S95F. Testing with an oldie but a goodie, for example, the narrow hallway scene at the end of episode 2 of season 1 of the formerly Netflix, now Disney Plus Daredevil, allowed the OLED S95F to show this off well. On a poor display, you lose a lot of detail in the murk, but the TV here managed this very nicely. Every single year, of course, TV makers will hype up their latest integrated processors. For the OLED S95S, it's the Samsung NQ4 AI Gen 3 processor, with the idea that it'll use AI to optimize images, whether they're TV programs, movies, or sports. Samsung's contention is that the OLED S95F is 30% brighter than last year's similar model, and that helps too, though I didn't have last year's model, of course, to compare with to see exactly how much. For its size, this is an almost ridiculously thin TV. In fact, the 77-inch model is even thinner, and it has Samsung's One Connect box. Now, when I did my hands-on review of the Samsung QN90D, I was really disappointed because that TV had hard-to-access HDMI ports. The beauty of the One Connect box is you can wall mount it, or you can have it as they have it here, hidden behind the TV. I prefer it out in the open where I can plug things into it with ease, but even here, I could plug things in easily. I think this is one of the better things that Samsung does across its entire TV range, and I was very pleased to see it here. Samsung's other big selling feature for this particular TV is its anti-glare feature. So this can be a huge problem for Australian households. If you've got awkwardly placed lights or if you've got a window that shines in on your TV, you'll know what I'm talking about. And here, the S95F does really rather well. And to its credit, Samsung set up this particular S95F in a hotel room that had a lot of ambient lights around it and an open window near it where, at least at the start of my reviewing period, while the sun was still up, there was a lot of glare on the screen, or there would have been a lot of glare on the screen, but it absorbed most of it, not quite all of it. With a torch on it, I could get it to reflect some light, and there are some situations where it's not going to hold up. But honestly, compared to a regular TV, yeah, this is really very good. Samsung calls it glare-free, and I think that's slightly overhyping it, but not by much. TVs these days, of course, aren't just about TV programs, they're also about gaming. And here, Samsung has its own gaming hub with access to services like Xbox Game Pass if you're a subscriber there. Not always the best way to show off a TV, though. So they did have the 77-inch model set up with an Xbox Series X with a selection of games. I should warn you, I am awful at Assassin's Creed Shadows, but it's not a bad way to show off what this can do. If you wanted to make the most of the 165Hz refresh rate of this particular TV, you'd probably need a gaming PC to plug into this, but the capability is there. It can work well enough with this kind of higher-end gaming content. On the calibration side, a lot of people balk at calibrating the TV, which they totally should do to get the best picture out of it, because it can be kind of tricky working out, well, what is the right level of brightness? What does contrast mean? All these kinds of things. And Samsung has a kind of simplified AI-led way of doing this with some AI-led image optimizations. Now, these are optional. You can still fully calibrate if that's your thing. But they basically just take you through some simple picture-led examples of contrast and color settings, so you can pick the ones that you feel work best for you. It's a simplified method, and it's not going to be for everyone, but I think it works quite well for quite a lot of content. Having separate settings for sports and movies is also a really smart step. So those are my quick upsides, but what about downsides? Well, there are a few, although again, I have to qualify this is off limited testing, obviously. Firstly, I've got to say the remote. Look, it's fine, it's serviceable, it works, it has that whole thing with the solar panel on the back so the batteries never run out, which is nice, but it feels kind of cheap. I mean, Samsung's got a style here for most of its remote controls, but having a remote that's this kind of plasticky and simple on an $11,000 TV, I kind of feel like they could do a bit more here. On the audio side, the 83-inch model had a soundbar and surround setup. That worked quite well, but the 77 didn't. And the difference between the two with the same kind of material was really quite noticeable. Now, it does honestly feel a little bit unlikely that if you're going to drop 11 grand on a TV, you're probably not going to have either a surround system in place or buy one. But the basic sound off this TV is still kind of basic. It's a limitation of making them this thin as well, of course. But if you want the best sound out of this, you're going to need to pay a little bit more for a decent sound system to go with it. Now, while I had access to a lot of 4K content through various streaming services, I didn't, for example, have access to an antenna to test out how well the Samsung OLED S95F might handle Australian free-to-air broadcasting, which, well, let's just say that 4K isn't really a strong feature of Australian free-to-air right now. However, I could somewhat simulate it, watching the ABC's YouTube stream of its 24-hour news channel at lower quality, and here, the S95F's AI signal processing at first struggled a little with lower-end quality content in terms of how it showed up. Outside of anything YouTube was doing in terms of broadband quality, I could see image shifts as I watched for about the first 10 to 15 seconds or so before it settled down. And obviously, there is a bit of a classic garbage in, garbage out equation playing out there, of course. Now, the same was true when I replicated a test I used with the Samsung Q90D by plugging in a SNES MIDI, I'm nothing if not predictable, for a little old-school 16-bit retro gaming action. Now, this did show off the S95F's AI trying to work out the best scaling outputs for that kind of input, and it did take it a couple of seconds with slightly overblown images. My camera's not helping here either, but slightly overblown images, which did take a few seconds of blur before properly sharpening up the image. And of course, the other downside is that this is expensive. There's just no getting around it. The 83-inch Samsung OLED S95F is an impressive TV, no doubt, but it absolutely has to be with a retail price this high. And yeah, sure, that will drop over time, maybe quickly, given the competition in the retail TV space. But is it going to drop that fast, that far? No. And it is obviously worth weighing up both your budget and your viewing environment before deciding if this level of TV investment is right for you. Now, that is all I'm going to say on this particular TV because, as I said, this was a limited time hands-on kind of activity, not a full-on review, but hopefully this has been helpful for you. Thanks for watching.